The past weekend, the world bore witness to two contrasting performances on the world stage. One was in Moscow, a cynical overture by Putin, who declared a 30-year unilateral Easter truce in Ukraine, only to let it expire unceremoniously without any intention of peace. The other, or indeed to not to uphold the same the same peace initiative that he just presented. The other took place in Rome, the slow, dignified march towards the funeral of Pope Francis, a man who, despite his contradictions, summoned up more genuine global relevance than any post-Soviet strongman ever has. The juxtaposition of these two is telling. Beginning with Putin, his Easter ceasefire was both brief and brittle and completely fake. But it may have had some effect. Ostensibly a gesture of goodwill, it was really a calibrated public relations stunt, and he hoped to shift the blame onto Kyiv and indirectly onto Donald Trump's flailing peace efforts. What he's probably got from this is a little bit more time with Trump, which is a good thing. The Kremlin claimed Ukraine violated the truce nearly 5,000 times. Ukraine said that Russia launched over 2,900 attacks. It was the theatre of fake news, really, a masquerade of diplomacy with the civilian population the civilian population in Ukraine once again paying the price. But the problem for Putin was timing, because just as his propaganda machine geared up to broadcast his messianic restraint, the world turned its gaze towards Rome. The death of Pope Francis at 88, a man shaped by the liberation theology of Latin America and the austerity of Jesuit tradition, has triggered not just a Vatican funeral, but a moment of spiritual gravity and global reflection. And leaders from across the spectrum of ideology and faith, from President Zelensky to President Trump, Ursula von der Leyen to Prince William, are descending upon St. Peter's Square on Saturday to mourn a man who, for all his flaws, was a moral counterweight to the cynicism of power. And yet notably absent, Vladimir Putin says he's not going. Now, he apparently wanted to go to the funeral of the Queen, and was refused an opportunity. He should have gone. He should have declared an intention to go to the funeral of the Pope, but has decided not to even offer. It's extraordinary. He poses with the Pope in a papal audience, and yet can't be bothered to go to the funeral. Is this a legal constraint? If it is, it should be lifted, because there's more opportunity for the world in having Putin there and talking. The Vatican may not be party to the Rome Statute, but Italy, of course, is, and as the Kremlin knows too well, there is an international criminal court arrest warrant hanging over Putin's head for the deportation of Ukrainian children. His absence is as symbolic as his presence would have been controversial. But it might have cemented hope. In this way, the funeral of Pope Francis has done what few global events managed to do of late. It has rendered the Russian president irrelevant and diminished. No matter how many Orthodox cathedrals he visits, no matter how many ceasefires he declares and violates, he cannot step onto the same stage where the world's moral authority gathers without consequence. And the Vatican, with its centuries-old choreography of mourning, knows precisely what it's doing. The funeral will take place on Saturday at 10 a.m. local time. Francis's body will be taken unusually to the Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore at the end of the funeral, a nod to his Marian devotion and a break from precedent. No grand papal tomb beneath St. Peter's this time, but a more humble resting place befitting the pontiff who washed the feet of prisoners and spoke of a poor church for the poor. World leaders will sit in solemnity while Moscow stews in isolation. This is not merely optics, it's substance. It's the difference between power seized and power bestowed. Francis, it should be noted, didn't always please Ukraine. His comments on the white flag of surrender angered many. His reluctance to name Russia explicitly as the aggressor created tension with Zelensky. But even then, he remained more of a voice than Putin ever could be, a man who told Patriarch Kirill not to become Putin's altar boy, and who implored the world to stop the airstrikes and stop killing innocent people. Now, as he lies in state, those words echo with greater force. The conclave to elect his successor is likely to begin in early May. It will again refocus global attention on Rome, on the church, on the search for moral authority. Putin may rattle his sabre and offer conditional talks, but he cannot enter the one arena he cannot control, the court of global moral opinion. And that, perhaps, is what unnerves him most. In the end, this Easter was not marked by Putin's truce, but by Francis's passing, where Putin offers expired in a gesture of irrelevance. Francis offered a life, and now a legacy, and a life where his last words were about peace in Ukraine, peace in Gaza, of humility, contradiction, and service. The contrast couldn't be more stark. One man attempted to manipulate the silence of guns, the other summoned silence that resounded across continents. And history, I suspect, will remember the one that truly mattered.